Hello and welcome back. This is Gideon's Tech in 20 minutes. However, I have a disclaimer. Today it might not be 20 minutes because I want us to have a candid discussion about what is happening in our country. So, yesterday, our President William Ruto, came up with a roadmap which wants to put Kenya into a roadmap beyond Vision 2030. When you remember, Vision 2030 was made so that Kenya can have some structure on how it is going to be performing or developing since 2008 to 2030. So now that we are approaching 2030, we are just barely into 2030 with around 3 to 4 years. I think President William Ruto saw it okay, all right, so that he can introduce a conversation towards how Kenya might look in 2060. What he talked about might not be clear. It might not even be clear to him what he wants to tell Kenyans. But one thing I know about Kenyans is that we take everything serious, and when we talk about the future of our country, we are very serious about it, because every time we see a dent or we see something that is not happening right or is not correct, we question it, we ask questions, and sometimes we get questions, other times we get shot on the leg, or maybe, as they say, shoot to kill when people break into your police stations. But now, William Ruto came to Kenyans. We read his speech. I did not listen to his speech correctly, or maybe I listened and did not understand it. As many people put it, his speech was incorrect, or it was laid out in a way that many people could not understand. But on the other hand, I think I understand him. Some people start from somewhere. Some people have a rough draft of what they want to say. They might not know how to say it, but they say it either way. They just talk about what they think might look better in the coming days. They might think they share their vision in a very fragmented way. Like, for instance, you might be talking about what you want to achieve in 1 year, but now you do not have the fine details on how you're going to achieve it. You might say, in the next 1 year, I want to build a house. You don't know how much that house costs. You don't have even the plan for the house. You don't know how many rooms you want to build for that house. Even you don't have the land where you are going to build the house. So after you say that you have to build a house, your friends, the people whom you talk to, will start now asking you, do you have a land? Do you have a plan where you're going to build the land, the house? So these are the questions that might trigger you to think about now what we are talking about. If you have the land, let us say in Nairobi or even in Ushago, you might think that, oh, okay, I have now to make a decision either to build in Nairobi or in Ushago. Now another friend will come from nowhere and will ask you, how big will your house be? And maybe you might give an estimation saying 2 rooms, 3 rooms. Someone will tell you that if you need or you expect visitors frequently, a 2-bedroom house might not be sufficient, because your children, maybe you want to get both genders, that's boys and girls, you need at least 3 bedrooms and also an extra room or 2 for visitors. So that gives you a roadmap, or even refines your views or even your vision on what you want to achieve. So President Ruto came and to us, he murmured a lot of things, he said a lot of things, he compared our country to other countries, how China, Vietnam, South Korea, and so many other countries evolved from third world or underdeveloped countries to developed countries that we see today. He talked about GDPs, whereby even our GDP is beaten by the GDP of Zimbabwe. I was a bit skeptical, because when you think about Zimbabwe, you don't see it as a big economy, but when he talks about its GDP beating Kenya's GDP, it's something that we should ask ourselves whether we are going to the right direction. And as we see our country Kenya is a giant in Africa, and also a giant in East Africa, whereby many other countries compare themselves to us. So when you hear our president talking about how backwards or how behind we are left by our peers, it makes you ask yourself one question or another, and that triggers now the conversation for 2030. Sometimes you might say that Ruto is a bad person. Yes, he might be. He shot people on the leg. He beat people who are going to demonstrate against Finance Bill 2024. that was utterly wrong. People are angry, they never forget, and maybe they will never forget, and I don't expect people to forget about anything. More so, I do not expect even people to return Ruto back into that seat come 2027. That is around 1 year now to go. But one thing I know is that beyond Ruto, beyond the coming president who will spend 10 years, we still have Kenya in 2030. Even if I myself, you and other viewers will not be there, in 2060, there will be Kenyans, and these Kenyans will be asking us in 2027, 2026, beyond Vision 2030, what were your plans? What did you plan? Let us assume that we are in 2030 today and we do not have even a clear roadmap on how we are going to carry our country ahead or even forward, or what we want to target in the next coming 20, 30 years. What will politicians be doing? Because as you understand, our politicians never have a stand. Our politicians can never even tell you what they want to do. They have manifestos and maybe they have never read them. So do you expect our politicians really to lead our country that a roadmap? So when Ruto says that he's going to put out a conversation, a nationwide conversation, I would think that as Kenyans, we would now start maybe talking about the things that should not be done. As he said, he's going to base everything on constitution. So first, maybe you could say that all the police officers should be detached from the word of the president, because when the president says something, police officers or commanders or CSs or CPD should have something to say. They might, the president might say, go and shoot people on the leg, or shoot people who are demonstrating, or just shoot aimlessly, because there may be goons, there may be rightful demonstrators. Does that give the police the mandate to shoot just because the president had said? But when the police or the people who protect us as Kenyans are given independence, can just make their own decisions without being influenced by the executive, these are the people who are going to be leading Kenya now to the right direction. Do you think that we need a constitutional roadmap or blueprint whereby we need Kenya, how we need Kenya to look in 2060? Instead of saying that we are castigating Ruto, we are saying one term, we are saying we will not even return him in the seat come 2027. That might be okay, and that is very okay by the way. In fact, in a democratic country, everyone has a right to see whatever they want. But do we really need to put politics in this blueprint, in this roadmap? I'm not saying that he is excellent. I'm not saying that we need to put him back there so that he can complete that roadmap. Since he started the conversation, as Kenyans now we should take it over. We should say that when we are now going to the Kenya beyond Vision 2030, we need an economy that is not driven by politics. That even every 5 years, even if we campaign for the next 5 years, let us say a president gets in 2027 and they campaign up to 2032 without even doing anything, the country can run itself. These people do not even need to be there for the country to develop. We need policies that target to strengthen our morals, our cultures, whereby when Kenyan shillings deteriorating, we can question, why is it going down like that? When it is strengthening without even clear signals why it is strengthening, we can ask ourselves, why is it strengthening? And we are not seeing even the signals, where we are not seeing those signs why it should be strengthening. We should ask ourselves, anytime the president comes in and they appoint their allies, just without considering technocrats, or even without considering their capabilities to lead those ministries, to lead those departments, we should be asking ourselves, in the blueprint 2060, do we really need such presidents? We should also raise certain questions like, do Kenyans have the mandate or even power to revoke or even to recall the MPs if they do not work? Because I heard someone saying that opposition should be given the mandate to overlook the cabinet. If the opposition is given that mandate to look over, or even to watch, or even to just control the government in the sitting government, the MP should not be in the chambers, because these MPs are the one who has that mandate to look at what the government is doing and question the things that they are doing, whether they are right, and if they are correct, they should be supporting the current government to implement those things. So These are the things that we should be asking. We should also be asking, in that vision or in that blueprint 2060, do we really need 47 governors, or we can just do very well with the regionals, the PCs, that is the provincial commissioners? We just make it now governor. Let us say Central as one governor, Nyanza as one governor, Eastern as one governor, Mombasa as one governor, and so forth and so on, without just trying to conflict or even ask why Ruto was giving that rubbish speech, why his speech was so much shortened, why Gachagua just had to leak what the conversation might be like. So sometimes as Kenyans, as much as we castigate politicians, or as much as we take politics to the doorstep of the person in the government, the president, sometimes we should now be Kenyans or patriotic enough to question the agenda of the day. Let us assume that the president now starts the conversation and he lays a foundation for the conversation for the next 3 years. Before 2029, in fact, we should be having a blueprint or even a manuscript whereby people have read it, have revised it time and again, so that by the time 2030 comes and we are going to be closing Vision 2030, we're having a larger vision that sees us now to the next 30 a vision that sees us to the next 30 years of this country. When you look at the developing countries, or the rapidly developing, when you look at the rapidly developing countries like China, they have blueprints of what they need to achieve in the next 5 years. If they want to be AI dominant, they say that now we are not now going to be agricultural, we are not going to put a lot of efforts in agriculture. However, we are going to put sufficient efforts, but not as much as you're going to put in AI, because we want to control AI sector. They want to control manufacturing. They are saying that we are going to control manufacturing, and this is what we are going to do. So when they bring out that conversation, there are people who do not say that we do not like Xi Jinping. They just say, okay, Xi Jinping might be politically incorrect, might be oppressing us, but when it comes to our country, China, when we talk about AI and we want to dominate AI, there's nothing that should hold us back. So this is the Kenya that I would like to see. This is now the Kenyans, or the voice of Kenyans, that I would like to hear. Kenyans saying that now we do not like President Ruto, but we like Kenya so much that we can discuss about Kenya in 2060. We can align ourselves. If we want Africa to be a free trade zone, Kenya should begin, or should be in the forefront, saying that now Kenya being a leading or being an example to other African countries, we should open our borders for African countries, and also we should try to negotiate with other countries so that they can accept us freely. I saw that our GDP is being driven around 40% of what we sell, our exports, more than 40% are being traded within African countries. So that is a good thing. If we want Africa to be in the forefront of the world, we have to make it open for every other African countries so that they can trade freely. So Kenya should be leading this conversation. When we hear that Ethiopia is leading in the African free trade and Kenya has never even started doing that, it gives me goosebumps. It also helps, it makes me ask a lot of questions as Kenyans. What are we doing? So this conversation, Kenyans, are we ready, or are we just trying to castigate, ask questions about our president? Because they understand, yes, the president might be doing his things in his own ways that maybe they are not pleasing the countrymen or the citizens, but don't we love our Kenya that so much that we want to see how Kenya might look in 2060? Or maybe we would like to chant our path forward, looking at what Kenya might be like. Because I understand one thing. Vision 2030, many of Kenyans talk about Vision 2030. But how many Kenyans understand about Vision 2030? What if we own Vision 2060, or Kenya beyond Vision 2030, and we understand every content of it, so that when, for instance, now I'm going into industrialization, when I'm going to trade, when I'm becoming a responsible Kenyan who pays taxes, I can now, when I'm opening factories, when I'm doing my farming, I'm doing my agriculture, I can lay everything, or even I can align everything towards the Kenya beyond 2030. So that is one thing that we should be asking ourselves, so that we do not just talk about how Kenya is looking today, how Kenya might look in the Kenya 2060, but then, or maybe we want Kenya to be in the middle upper class, upper middle class, and yet when we reach there, you are left back. And so I would like to see a Kenya whereby everyone is contributing towards its development, and we are actively working towards making Kenya a better place for everyone. That one will make my heart merry. Otherwise, let us continue the conversation. Let us not leave it in the hands of the president, because when we do not give him input and we start throwing stones at him, he's going to write something that even he himself does not believe in. He might even use a ChatGPT to generate Kenya beyond 2030 or Kenya towards 2060. And we are going to read that document that will be like, these are not what we wanted. And yet we do not have time to ask questions around that document. We do not have even anything to discuss about it, because we never took time to think about it or even to give our input. So it is time for us as Kenyans to think beyond politics and think for a country that we want. What country do you need? If you look at the efforts that President Ruto is putting, or his government, like putting Kenya in the forefront of AI in Africa, whereby he's discussing cooperation with China, which is almost the giant or the leader in AI, besides USA, which always brags to be the leader, but I don't think whether it is. So if Kenya cooperates closely with the China, which is now the leader of AI, and we become part of that, where we start making part of that cake, I think we are going to be going to the right direction. The effort that is also putting towards putting decent housing and so many other things, besides all these evil things, I think Kenya can do better in the Vision 2030. So can we make this conversation lively? Can we contribute towards it? Can we make it believable? Can we make it Kenyan? Besides politics, I pray that one day we will look back and say that this is the conversation that we wanted, and maybe we achieve our goal that we might have achieved. Back to politics. Aisha Jumwa jumped from UDA. He said that he's being disrespected. He cannot even access State House. And he's saying that now he's going to jump from UDA and now go and look for other places to hide. My question would be, every time we talked about Aisha Jumwa since Maandamano, since the election 2022, we have always labeled her as an underdeveloper, someone who has just been given a state contract or departmental leads just because she's loyal to the president. Is it not the right time for us to accept her in Linda Mwananchi, DCP, and celebrate that she has migrated from UDA? Sometimes as Kenyans, we should ask ourselves, these leaders, when they start realigning themselves, you might think that we are creating something different. And yet, when you look at the reality or what is happening around, you find that these are the same people who are just regrouping. And by 2027, you might be voting for DCP candidates, and you find that you're just folded back in the government that you are throwing stones towards. Let us be careful not to vote for political parties, but let us look at the individuals, what the individuals can offer, and if it is the right thing. Because sometimes I'm very worried looking at the trends whereby someone was underperforming where they were, but now when they see the wave migrating, they just move around and say that now I'm going to align with this one because this one will give me mileage or will give me advantage towards achieving my political goals. If you understand it correctly, and I've said it time and again, politics or politicians, that's a career. It's not just something that you're given by the people. It's a career that they are looking towards controlling. Like when you are there for the next 5 years, you're employed, you're being paid, you're controlling resources, so you're also eating in between. So do we really want to give jobs to people who cannot perform, or who are not going to give us something that we are looking for? That's a question that we should ask ourselves around the people who are migrating from one place to another. Another story is about Dr. Victoria Mutiso, who was shot or assassinated in Mlimani. I told you that as stories develop, I'm going to be giving updates. Assassination was associated with property quarrels, with her husband whom they parted with some time back. Now she found another one, that is, she found another love. Now, while she was in her efforts now to celebrate that union, or just to make it official, her husband maybe became jealous and said that no, this one is not going to happen in my eyes, and he took law in his own hands and tried to take her off. So I don't know. So it is being said that Victoria Mutisa's children are being held in custody. I don't know the associated with it, but together with other suspects, I hope that this as it goes, I'm going to be clear about what is happening. But it is property and love triangle quarrels, as I had said earlier. Let us look at how that develops. In other news, electricity outage was associated with the disruptions or the power line system disruptions, which even after the electricity came back, people were unable to purchase tokens and also do their online transaction in Kenya Power. But they have sorted that out. I hope everyone is comfortable. Those who are not, we can continue tagging Kenya Power on all socials so that we can remind them that we the people demand to see these things happening, and we want to achieve our developmental goals. And if we do not get stable electricity, there is no way we are going to industrialize. So let us continue asking these questions. In other news is that High Court has issued an order altering or making a stop to the construction of the state lounge in Meru. That this lounge was to be constructed in a Imenti forest. So the people of Meru are uncomfortable with that, and they protested, and they said that this is not right, because when we clear land or we clear forest just to construct a state lounge, it makes no sense. There's no developmental goals that goes beyond us clearing forest or making forest go away so that you can construct just a lounge for a president, whereby you can just stay there for a day. Does not make sense. President can go to Meru and come back to Nairobi, even by road. You can go in the morning and come in the evening. And now considering that the president has the capability or the muscle to fly, that now gives him even more advantage, not even to construct anything on our forest. Otherwise, he can look for places that have already been cleared and ask for title deed or buy that land and construct his state lounge. Otherwise, I don't think it's a necessity for us to clear forest and forest covers for us to establish buildings. That was a shortfall from the president, and he should look at that. He should listen to the people of Meru and halt and stop it indefinitely, because that it was nothing to be celebrated. It was a lot of nonsense. So he should look at that. In other news, Kalonzo yesterday called a state. He calls for a press conference, whereby he said that many people are telling or are saying that he's going to join Bwana President Ruto. You know, sometimes rumors come with a lot of tangible evidence. Others are just peddled so that we can see what the people are saying. We do not know who sponsored that conversation, but if Kalonzo today migrated towards Ruto, it might look so bad on him, because he has been castigating Ruto for a very long time. And we do not know what he is going to get now from just joining Ruto. When you look at ODM, which is demanding for a seat, the deputy president seat under Ruto's government, and you look at Kithure Kindiki, who is trying to defend that seat with his own life, there's nothing for Kalonzo to go and get there. So I don't know why people should be battling these rumors. However, he himself clarified and said that he was in Zanzibar or in Tanzania, and he was not with Ruto at any point this week or even in the recent past. He said that he's going to stand against Ruto and they are going to meet in the ballot. I would like to believe him, but in politics, there's nothing that is impossible. You could see them now standing together in 2027. However, my belief is that in 2027, the united opposition is going to stand against Ruto, so that we can see if we can get a better leadership. But I always say that even when they stand together, we should always look at the people who are controlling that faction, because we might give them the mandate to lead our country, but at the end of the day, they are going to put it into a hole. And as I always say, however, you're going to take Kenya beyond 2027, is going to have a hard time, because Kenya is not in a very good place. Every 100 shillings contributed in our country, 7 shillings goes towards paying debts. This is alarming, and I hope that the people who are fighting to be president know this and have these facts, and they know how they're going to handle it, so that they can please the people, please the economy, and make Kenya even progress for a moment, because that is something I would like to see. In other news, in the Ministry of Energy, they are saying that there are employees who are using personal emails to trade government projects or to do business for energy ministry. This gives a lot of chills, because it means that that's a leeway for corruption. But if I can use my own email, I can get that deal. I can award myself a deal, work on it, and at the end of the day, pay myself. And it will be difficult for me to be accountable for what I did, because at the end of the day, I can delete that email. Or I have sole control of those personal emails, and that makes it very difficult for the controllers of the budget or the auditors to look into personal entities or personal emails for them to grab and see what is happening around. It is extremely difficult. When people start trading with their personal identity, their personal phone numbers, personal emails, or doing just business by the word of mouth, saying that I work in the Ministry of Energy, so I can give you a contract to do 1, 2, 3. And beyond that, I can also guarantee you to get a tender. It gives a loophole for corruption. So I hope that they are going to correct that, and the people who are liable, they are going to be held liable, and they are going to be answerable to the people, because the people of Kenya want transparency, want a country that looks better on paper and also looks better on every other angle. In other news, in Uganda, Bisigye has been held in custody for a very long time. We saw it sometimes he was going on hunger strike, and the CDF of Uganda said that he doesn't care whether that man dies in the custody, as long as he's not disturbing the sitting president, his father, Bwana Museveni. He can do whatever he wants. So he went to the court for a hearing. He was given a government lawyer, but he said that he does not want that, because the government law can be controlled. Yes, he was yelling and shouting. He collapsed and he was rushed to hospital. Now he's at ICU. You're going to be following how that unfolds. As you know, Africa, there are no liabilities. You do not take liability for anything that happens. So sometimes you might think that you're going to on hunger strike, but you're just committing suicide on yourself, or just killing yourself. And this is not going to be flagged for that. So as he comes out of ICU, we are going to be following that story and giving it to you in real time. In other news, former Treasury CS Njuguna Ndung'u says that President Ruto is micromanaging everything in the country. He could even tell you what to do. I have seen another CS of or another leader of IPOA, I think something Musheru, saying that even when Ruto was the deputy president working under Uhuru, Ruto and Uhuru could call them and give them directives on how they are going to operate. So this seems to be something that has been happening for a very long time, whereby leaders want things to go their way, so that even when they mess or they do things against the law, they cannot be held accountable. But my question would be, as a person who has been given a mandate to run a certain ministry, to run a department, why would you like to listen to these people? Because you can simply just do whatever you want, or put systems which protect you and your job and even the people you're operating, and yet outsmart these people, because you must be technocrats unless you're given that job as a loyalist. And the loyalists do not ask a lot of questions. We are just there to take orders. So if you're a loyalist and you're taking orders from your boss, you have no business telling us that your boss was micromanaging you, was controlling what you think, because you should think for yourself. You should be able to think about what you're going to do, because anything that goes wrong, you're going to be asking the CS of Treasury, why did you give this money to this department? And yet you knew that that money is not going to help Kenyans. This is taxpayers' money that you should be accountable for. So why did you do that? We are going to be asking those questions, and you're not going to tell us that Ruto compelled you to do that, because it does not make sense. Think about it. In other news, IEBC said that they will not stop live streaming of elections. However, there's a bill that is in the Senate that is pushing for the removal of Section 39 of the Constitution, which mandates for all the elections, all results to be results from the polling station to be live streamed, so that Kenyans can start tallying as early as they can. SIBC is denying that they are not going to stop live streaming. I wonder, do they know about this bill that is in the Senate, and how are they handling it? How are they interpreting it? How do they think? Let us say that bill passes and becomes a law, and they remove now Section 39, which mandates the IEBC to live stream all the content from polling station to the National Tallying Center. And now it comes to 2007, and they say, now you see, this one was changed, was altered. We were sorry. Then they come us and tell us that they were not mandated to put live stream or to live stream the results as they come from polling stations. Will we be able to ask them why they are not live streaming? Because they will say that according to the Senate amendment bill, they say that it's not a must for us to live stream. So will we be able even to hold them accountable? That's my question. So IBC should come clear and tell us what they are doing. As much as they are saying that they will never stop live streaming these bills, they should tell us correctly and kinanga ubaga that they have control of what the Senate is doing, and they understand that the Senate is trying to change these laws or to amend some of these procedures so that they can have upper hand in coming 2027. And also to the Senate, they should know that they will not spend their whole life in Senate. They will be citizens at some point, and they would like to see these votes or these tallies being live streamed. And if they change these laws just to favor them at the moment, they will never see that, and they will cry together with us in the coming few years. So they should be wise. As much as they have the control of the Senate and the House, that is the Parliament, they should know that one day they will be citizens as us, and they will be asking the same questions that you're asking. Why should we be denied the live stream of these polls? Because we want to see them if they come from polling stations, and even as they go even to the National Tallying Center in the Bomas, if at all Bomas will be complete at that time in 2027. In other news, Ghana has lowered the presidential bid age from 40 to 35, saying that 35 is sufficient for someone to lead the country. And they are saying that the polls will be held in November so that they can give some time for the transfer of power in January 2027, when they will be holding the inauguration. They are saying that they are also going to increase the presidential term limit from 4 years to 5 years, because most of the time you find that 1 year is wasted during inauguration or transfer powers, and another one at the end of the day is wasted during campaign. And I also ask myself, if you are doing that intentionally, why should you compel people to add your time so that you can spend these 2 years doing your campaign and also transferring power, instead of just limiting the amount of time that you spend transferring power, and also limit as much time as possible for you to campaign? As a president, you should have ways of campaigning without contravening people. And if you feel like you need 1 year for you to campaign, that your term limit should be kept towards the time you're going to go to campaigns, that you're not the president of that country. You're just there by the name, and you're not controlling a lot of things. So to our Ghanaian people, you should look into that and tell us whether we are hallucinating or we are seeing our things. Are you going to agree? Because this is going to go to the ballot, to the referendum for you to vote for it. Are you going to agree for your presidential time limit to be extended from 4 years to 5 years? Really? Is it necessary? Should hold your people accountable. If they ended there with the 4-year term limit, they should get out of it with 4-year term limit. There is no reason for them to compel people to add them time to do whatever they want to do, because it does not make sense a lot. They should just spend the time they are given and get out of the office. That is not personal office. It's a country or nation office that should be controlled by people who are willing to control it by the time that is given to them by the people and the constitution of that country. Otherwise, they should leave their people alone. In other places in Congo, they are demonstrating Tshisekedi's need or urge to run for the third term. In Bukavu and Goma, they are saying that they do not want Tshisekedi to run for another term. He has already completed these 2 terms. So in Congo, whereby you have a lot of instability, the president cannot even control whatever is happening there, I would ask myself, why should you want to run such a country? You've been there for all those years, nothing has changed. Why do you want to be added some few years for you to control such a country that is tattered, that is just laying in tatters and destruction? Why can't you just give a chance for another person to try and see if they can correct the mess that has been created either by you or by external forces? Give a chance to other people and see if they can do it. Don't become a tick. Don't just stay there and control a country that you have no control over. It's not necessary. That is dictatorship and something that is a free world we do not like. So leave it alone, Tshisekedi. Let people control the country. Let their people lead themselves, because that is only the best thing that you can do for your country at the moment. In other news, US is back to bombing Iran, and as we knew that US had just induced some ceasefire to see if Iran is going to compromise and go into the legal ways of solving this. But Iran continued throwing bombs. All I can say is that Iran is divided into 2 pieces now. There is one of the IRGC and the other one which is led by the government. So maybe Iran, led by the government, can agree to talk to the USA, but they have no control of what IRGC is going to say. IRGC is slowly turning into a terrorist group, which is now does not even fear about its people, does not care about what its people do, as long as they keep threatening the USA and they threaten the power of the USA. They are okay doing it for as long as the USA is feeling them and is going to understand their power, and people keep clapping for them when they throw bombs into the USA bases. So let us see how that unfolds, because now the USA is considering so many other ways of compelling them to obey and try to make them come to the table and converse. I don't know what that would look like, because IRGC does not look to be like a team that is going to be talking to the USA anytime soon. They just want to keep on throwing bombs, even if they are just throwing a grenade and USA is throwing bank busters. They do not care, as long as they are just making it. Just as long as they throw it, it doesn't matter whether it goes through or it does not. That is not their it's not their work, it's not their business. For IRGC, they just want to have that feeling, that adrenaline rush. They just want to feel it, and it's extremely compelling. It's just making them to keep doing it. They have also been bombing their neighbors, the Gulf countries, for fun. So you can see that people are not interested in talking a lot. They just want to keep doing. In other news, Trump on his social media or post say that Hamas are on the edge of agreeing to disarming, but it is not clear from the side of Netanyahu and his government whether they are going to agree into the finalization of this agenda, because they said that they are going to send a multinational group or stakeholder that is going to talk about peace in Gaza. So I don't know whether Netanyahu and these people are going to agree on that, because they see Palestinians as a threat to the existence. And when, let us see, Palestine is recognized as another country besides Netanyahu's country, they might think that they are being dominated. So they want to take off Palestine as a whole and control the whole thing, become Israel. So as much as Hamas is agreeing to disarm, let us see what Netanyahu and these people are going to say. In other news, we can see that there is bombing in the Mediterranean side of Egypt, whereby the ships or the gas tankers passing through the Suez Canal have been threatened. So this is just an extension of Iran war. Iran trying to compel the USA to listen to them. I don't know how much effort the IRGC is going to put, and together with these proxies, to compel the USA to leave the Gulf nations alone. But they are trying as much as they can. They are escalating the war to so many fronts so that USA can be stretched as far as they can. Let us see if this works, because whatever works for the people, they are going to take it. In other news, UEFA countries, that is, which comprises around 55 European countries, they are saying that if FIFA privatizes even part of that stake, they are going to get out of the competition, and FIFA will be left as a scale, because only African countries and maybe some few Asian countries are going to be left fighting for the positions or competing in the World Cup and other UEFA or FIFA competitions. So UEFA is saying that they are not going to be competing together with these 55 countries, and they have signed that already. They are saying that if any stake of FIFA is privatized, they are not going to take part of it. If you know, FIFA has been controlled by so many nations, so once it's privatized, they are going to now to be implementing private interest or pushing private interest, and that does not look so good to the FIFA members, and they are saying that they do not take it lightly, and they are going to shout on top of mountains so that they can be heard. In other news, Russia has attacked Ukraine overnight, and they have killed 7 people, leaving so many others injured, and also some drones are reported in Poland yesterday, triggering sirens, that is the alarms which alarms which are triggered when foreign UAVs or aircrafts or warcrafts land into their airspace. So we are still observing to see what happens if Ukraine is going to retaliate. And also Russia is targeting the Telegram owner, that is Pavlov Durov, for they are saying that he has been facilitating terrorism by giving information to the Ukrainians to target Russian companies and Russian territory. So they are saying that they are targeting him, and they are putting him in international notice, whereby he can be arrested anytime and be judged in Russia. So let us see whether he's going to be arrested. He's a Russian who migrated from Russia into I think France, the European country, and he's been staying there. So let us see what happens. In other news, in Spain, we can see the Moroccans or the Africans in the northern. They are migrating to Spain and just going there illegally. They are just crossing the sea and going to Spain. I wonder why don't African countries just develop the economy so that their people can be satisfied? Because if you look at the Europeans now, it's burning. It just heat waves. There are a lot of fires going on there, but Africans better risk going there than just staying in their country. So what do we do wrong as Africans? That is my take today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you do, please subscribe, like, and share with your people so that you can continue increasing. This is Gideon's Take in 20 minutes. See you in the next news.